Again, my name is Dustin Miller. I'm thrilled to welcome Jordan Beasley, better known as Jungle Jordan, to ISEA 2021. So a round of applause for Jordan. I first met Jordan during the Tiger King phase of the pandemic, so many years ago, um, followed up by an interview that he did with me for the Dallas Arboretum blog, actually. And that's kind of where these conference plans came together, and he definitely rose to the top of my list for keynote speakers. Based in the Seattle area, Jungle Jordan's a zookeeper, science communicator, and content creator with a passion for wildlife education and conservation. He hopes to inspire younger generations to be participants in conserving and repairing the natural world around us. Through his educational and quite often comedic videos, if you haven't seen him, you've got to follow him. Jordan explores different ways to engage with wildlife in zoos, aquariums, and safaris, through books and television, and even hiking in his own backyard. And if you really, really dig back in the social media, you can find some shoes. That's another day. Jordan's been bringing his voice to his audience as Jungle Jordan since 2017 through social media, podcasts, classroom visits, diversity panels, and more. He advocates not only for the conservation of wildlife, but also for diverse audiences to get involved in animal care and conservation. Jordan hopes his voice will inspire more diversity and inclusivity in the animal world. And I'd like to leave y'all with one more thought before passing the mic over to Jordan. For those who are able to, I want you to think about someone who's been an informal science mentor for you. Once you've done that, please type one adjective to describe that person in the chat now. So I'm going to give you a second. Think about that one informal science mentor that you've had, and just one word that would describe that person to you in the chat right now. Awesome. I see lots of great words here: dedicated, enthusiastic, caring, patient, passionate, motivational, memorable, creative, sharing, fun. Thanks so much. If you haven't put yours in, feel free to keep going. I've asked you to do this because during the last summer, I attended a session at another conference where a speaker said everyone should have mentors that are both older and younger than them. And Jordan, I haven't told you this, but so many of the things that people have written in this chat are the reasons why I look up to you as a mentor for me. So Jordan, welcome, my friend, and the floor is yours.
Wow, thank you. I just want to say thank you to all you guys at ISEA for still hosting this. Even though it's virtual, it's still amazing. I actually feel like I'm in the middle of a room right now, except I am in my own room, and what you see on top is not what's on bottom. I have Mickey Mouse pajama pants on right now, so just to let you guys know, it's my honest truth. And but that doesn't take away from who I am, right, with what I'm wearing, because that actually makes me who I am, besides the shoes and all that. And so speaking of who I am, my name is Jordan. I go by Jungle Jordan on social media, and I have been obsessed with animals my entire life. And just a quick question, actually. Would you guys feel more comfortable if I'm looking directly at you at the camera? Because I can't really see you guys' face if I do that. So, but it's up to you. It's fine. It's fine. Either way. Anyways, so animals. I grew up in a very interesting situation. I had anger management issues. I would get into fights, get kicked out of schools, and all these different things, and all because of certain reasons, because I was smart. And I liked animals. And growing up where I grew up, that wasn't really the thing to do. It wasn't really the cool thing to like animals. And kids also thought it was funny to tease me, to make me angry, to see how mad I would get. And so they would just tease and tease and tease. And, that my life was filled with a bunch of just anger and animals. So my mom would take me to the zoo. She'd see how I was sitting in my backyard looking at eagles and um, just watching different animal shows. And she would see how calm and happy I was around animals. So she took it amongst herself to try to see if she can get me connected with the zoo at a very young age. The zoo said, "Hey, we don't know. He's only 11. That's not really something we do. We don't really take in that, young volunteers like that." But they made a deal. As long as I had a zookeeper chaperone with me, I could be there with them as a volunteer. So I was accepted as the youngest volunteer at the zoo's history, at 11 years old, working with in the family farm with goats and sheep and chickens and all these cool little things. And I was this little 11-year-old kid with this gigantic shirt that definitely they didn't have one that fit me, and was walking around training how to walk sheeps and goats. Um, and that something changed from that point when I became that volunteer. I stopped getting into fights. I stopped, you know, I stopped getting expelled and things. And at first I thought it was, I just thought it was just me maturing and getting older. But somebody mentioned to me recently that they said, Jordan, you stopped getting into fights and things when you, like that year you started volunteering, things changed. And I definitely think now it was the animals that changed me. The animals focused me. And I learned, my grandma always tells me the story. As a 5-year old, she would take me to the zoo, and I would stand there at every exhibit, and I would talk to every single stranger that walked by and tell them about animals. That's just because I had to tell people about them. Look how cool these guys are. Don't you enjoy how cool this animal is? Embrace them like me. So I learned that I've had this passion for teaching people about animals. Besides working with them and being calm around them, I've learned that I really, really, really enjoy telling people about them. So, that's when I came into the social media phase. Um, I was walking around the zoo one day. I worked with hippos at the time. I was walking around the zoo with the hippos, and I was feeding them from up top above the exhibit, tossing in lettuce right into their mouths. I used to do this thing where I would like baseball toss them from across the exhibit, and they would open their mouth and it would land right in their mouth. So I uh I was a pretty good athlete. I'm pretty, it's okay. Anyways, this is also awkward, you guys. I can't see reactions. And so like I'm a very I'm based on reactions, so I can't see if you guys are laughing and happy. So I'm just like talking to myself right now, which I'm good at, I guess. Anyways, I go on tangents a whole lot. Um, so this kid, I remember watching him. He came over to me. He looks just like me, little African American kid, looks just like me. He's like, "Are you a zookeeper?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I want to be just like you." And then for me, this one moment that um sorry, give me a second. Whenever I think about it, because I I noticed something growing up in this field. I was different. There weren't many people that looked like me around the animals. There was a lot of stereotypes about whether or not we belong in this field, or whether or not, we're scared of animals, all this whole thing. And, that was one of the reasons why I got bullied as a kid. Kids thought I was weird because they didn't want to openly admit that they like animals too, because that's not who they saw in media, TV, and, news, all these things. They didn't see us working with animals. So this kid coming up to me and saying he wanted to be like me and work with animals, that changed something for me. And that's kind of when I started pushing out videos. I figured if more people see me doing what I'm doing, they would want to take part in helping the animals, helping wildlife, basically to be able to follow their passions and their dreams without worrying about anybody gatekeeping, or without worrying about anybody holding them out of doing it. So that's one of the main forces that pushed me. And I was kind of tired of, I did feel isolated, tell you the truth, guys. As a zookeeper, there's not many of me out there. There's not many of, African American people out there in the field. And I've just felt different. I Even though I work with a lot of nice people, it's just something internally, like I wouldn't listen to certain music without the fear of, in the back of my mind, without the fear of, hey, they might switch on me all of a sudden. they might just hate me, because I like rap, you know, they might just, so I have to move differently. I've gone through the zoos, different zoos, not just one. I've gone through every zoo I've been at. I've had visitors make comments about my appearance, or I had this even a even a volunteer of this one zoo that I worked at, a volunteer, same area, right by the hippos. This lady just, she was making noise, clapping at the hippos, trying to get a reaction from the hippos. I heard this noise. I was carrying a garbage bag. I heard this noise. I walked over and I saw it was a volunteer. I said, "Hey, could you, not do that, you know, it, please?" And she looks at me. She kind of gives me an up and down look and then goes back to what she was doing and clapping at the hippos. And so I was like, "Oh, I was very confused that she just like looked at me and just like looked away and kept doing what she was doing." And there was another volunteer next to her who was a guy. He said, "Hey, she got the hippos to open their mouths for her." And I said, "Well, we don't want to do that because A, people think that they'll be able to do it too, and B, that's aggravating the animals. Like you're kind of antagonizing them and thinking that you're going to give them something, but you don't have anything. You're teasing the animals, basically, right?" And so she heard that. She looked at me again, and then some guest asked me, "Oh, you know, are you the keeper?" I said, "Yeah, I work with these hippos. These are so and so. That's so and so." And the volunteer said, she looked at me again. She says, "Oh, you are a zookeeper?" She said, "Oh, I thought you were grounds." And at that zoo, grounds team was the people that basically clean the bathrooms, take care of the grounds, take out garbage, things like that, right? So in her mind, she was demeaning, she was devaluing who I was in the position. She was like, "There's no way this guy can work with animals." And so, you know, just that broke me right there, actually. And because I've had multiple encounters like that, and that one broke me. And I was absolutely done at that point. So that's why I dedicated myself and my time when I'm not working to social media, to get more people comfortable. Because I know there's other people out there that are like me at my age, that are this age, that are worried about doing a job like this because they fear that they're going to be isolated and singled out, and no one's gonna believe that they are smart enough or knowledgeable enough to do this job. So it was very, that sucked, to be honest with you guys. I hated it. I hated it. So the fact that I've learned now that people are looking up to me now, it's kind of crazy. I think it's kind of what drives me with social media. Social media is tough, you guys. I absolutely tell you the honest truth. The honest truth, my honest truth. Even though people will consider me an influencer, which I kind of hate that term, but it's kind of a weird term, because when I think of that, I think of guys with their shirts off and like looking all buff and doing nothing. Whatever. Hey, I'm not judging them either. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that's not me. But with social media, I I hate I hate social media. I'm gonna tell you guys why. Let me explain. I like the power that it has. I like what you can do with it. I like the fact that you can reach so many people. But for me personally, as a zookeeper, when I'm working with my animals, my mindset isn't to stop and take a video of the animal. I'm thinking of, hey, I am building a bond with this gigantic rhino that's right in front of me, and I don't want to die. So I'm not gonna pull my phone out and be like, "Hey, look at this, look at this," you know. But I've managed different techniques, and again, real quick, we didn't share space with the rhinos, by the way. There's always a barrier in between us and them. I'm just saying that's, so safety first, always. So, but with social media is very, very powerful, and I've been trying to develop strategies to reach more people. And I've learned that zookeepers have a very strong influence in the social media space. because we're bringing a once in a lifetime view to people that may never see. Like just the other day, what animal did I post that people had never heard of? What animal was that? That was the, hold on a second, you guys. Let me look real quick because I do this thing called Wild Wednesday, where on Wednesday I post a picture of a zoomed in animal and they have to guess what it is, right? And I go on my Instagram live that night and I reveal the animal. So this was the animal. It kind of reached, um, I would say this animal reached popularity 2 years ago. So I don't know if you guys can see that. It's an animal called a quokka. Look how happy and smiley this goofy looking thing is. Aren't they adorable? Anyways, so no one would have really known what this animal was until social media, because this this little guy here is only found off of the islands and coast of Australia. Rottnest Island is one of them. It's in the kangaroo family of macropods. So it's basically like a little wallaby, but they were known because people take selfies with this animal, and they think they are absolutely adorable. So the point of what I'm saying is, because of social media, this guy is now extremely well known. Where I posted this photo thinking nobody would get it, right? But over 100 people, gosh, yeah, over 100 people on Instagram knew what this animal was. So social media has big power. All it takes is, people want to learn. That's something that I've learned about wildlife and animals. People want to learn. People want to find ways to help, which is what I feel like zookeepers are doing. We're bringing that face of this animal to you, and we tell you its story. And then you learn, wow, this animal is severely endangered. It's critically endangered. What can I do to help? Which is why with social media, I will make sure I comment, I leave, I write some of the animal story, and I try not to like overwhelm you, because people, social media is tough because there's some short attention spans. So, you can lose somebody real quick. I've learned that with my videos. Like my videos get a little lengthy, and like right now, how many of you guys are thinking of other things right now? I'm just curious. In all honesty, anybody? Okay. Well, we can't help it though, because it's human nature. Our minds are going, they're processing, they're thinking. With me, I have ADHD and OCD. Yes, confirmed. I learned about this when I was a kid, and with me, the OCD comes out at certain times, but ADHD keeps me back and forth rambling. Like I'm pretty sure I'm jumping from topic to topic right now, and I don't know if you guys can stay with me and focus with me. I'm trying. That's just me, right? Um, let's see. But so with zookeepers, I've wanted to try and give them a platform to voice what we do, because the term zookeepers, people still have a very weird feeling about the term zoo. There's a negative connotation behind that word, a lot, big time, which it's horrible, because zoos represent animal prisons, or we're going out there capturing animals and taking these animals and bringing them in for entertainment. Once upon a time, a lot of zoos got their start that way, years and years ago. But there's been a severe shift in the last 30 or 40 years, maybe a little bit, about that. The shift has been on conservation. When zoos, not many of them are telling those conservation stories, because they feel as though the common person wouldn't be that interested in that. But it's a big deal. And shoot, some zoos are even changing their zookeepers titles. Some people are going to animal care technicians. People are going to staff biologists. people are changing their names from Zookeeper, where I have talked to countless zookeepers, and they actually would prefer that their name is Zookeeper because that's what they grew up wanting to be. That term means something to us, but it also means to some people a negative form, you know. But animal care technician makes us sound smarter, you know. But I can tell you this: I have never met a dumb zookeeper. There have been some that made bad choices, but I wouldn't call them dumb. You know, like zookeepers are some of the most intelligent people I've ever met. Like whenever I'm around them, I almost feel like I have imposter syndrome, you know, because they're so intelligent and they're so, you know, what they know their stuff. You know, zookeepers focus on specific species a lot of times, and they basically try to know everything they think they really can about that species. Like for me, I love cheetahs, but I don't know everything there is to know about cheetahs. You know, no one knows everything, but some of these zookeepers are pretty close, pretty close. Um, and so if zoos find a way, which they have with social media, they have found a way to grasp on to social media and to twist it to tell a story about the animals. They People will be brought in, and that kind of brings up what's going on with what was going on with COVID. And again, thank you all for being here real quick. I forgot to mention that. Thank you all for being here. It's been snowing literally everywhere, and I'm surprised that you guys are here right now. I thought I'd be talking to like 12 people, so thank you all for joining and listening and listening to me ramble on. Anyways, their zoos were having a tough time during COVID. You know, I mean, we're still in COVID, but most zoos were closed for months and months and months. So here's the thing about people, what people don't really realize about zoos, which I'm sure most of you guys know this, is that zoos aren't just like, they're not like a business. They can't just shut down, turn off the lights and electricity and just go home. There's live beings that still need food. They still need to be cared for. You know, they have to be, it was tough. It was very tough for a lot of zoos, you know, and you know, zoos were almost to the point of basically begging for money so their animals could be fed, you know. And like, you know, a lot of zoos were, you know, a lot of zoos have you know, like some cushion, but some of the smaller facilities get left out because they're small. You know, people aren't thinking about them, so they had to, you know, beg for most, because most zoos are nonprofit organizations that don't get government funding. These zoos had to beg for grants, had to beg for loans, things like that, just so they could keep their animals alive and keep their animals moving. You know, so that's where social media came in. We were able to tell our stories of the animals, you know, say, hey, this reminder, we're here and we love you all and we appreciate your support. And, you know, just because you're not here doesn't mean we aren't. Like, we have to take care of these animals. So, you know, like with my zoo, I'm at a smaller zoo now. I started a program called Zoo to You, with collaboration with some of my coworkers, and we basically brought the Zoo to You with series of live streams and edited videos, and it just would showcase the animals we were working with and the animals that we had and how much they eat. And you know, we didn't really dive into the numbers of what it costs to take care of them, you know, but people really just came out and showed their support severely. And you know, the zoo, before I got there, they weren't really pushing social media. They were kind of in the dark ages. I don't know why they weren't doing it. It just didn't make sense to me. So that's kind of what, you know, me going there helped change. And I'm happy now they put more of an emphasis on social media because they see how powerful it is to reach people. You know, because people still don't want to come out. People are still staying at home. I don't know if it's the same for you guys in Texas, but up here in Washington, people aren't really going places like they would normally go. You know, people are scared. Um, so as far as I wanted to add to, you know, like for our page, we definitely noticed an increase in the following because of these sets of videos. Like they were reaching more people. More people are sharing because people are at home on their screens. We were setting up Zoom conferences just like this one. First, we were doing this all for free, you guys, by the way. We were doing these Zoom sessions for free. We were doing the live sessions for free just because we want to make sure, you know, people were seeing the animals still. And that led to people wanting to donate. And that's a big deal as a nonprofit. We function on donations. Um, so since the opening, back to the opening of zoos, some zoos still aren't open. Most aquariums still aren't open because they're all indoors. And some places have been allowed indoor facilities to reopen. But the attendance, I noticed, even though most zoos have kept down to like 25% capacity or so, they have been, I could definitely see and feel the happiness that people had when they were arriving back at the zoo. They were really comfortable. They were like, thank you guys so much for still being here and making these videos. And it was just pretty awesome to notice that there was a family around the zoo world. Um, gosh, it's been tough. It's been, whew, it. I don't want to say it wasn't hard. It was extremely hard, and we just had to find a way to manage. Like we had our hours cut. Luckily, my zoo, we have a very small team, so luckily no one had to get fired. But a lot of zoos and a lot of just businesses in general had to cut a lot of people just to make sure that they can take care of their animals, because we're not going to allow the animals to starve. We're not going to allow the animals to die or anything like that, right? All we focus on are those animals. That's our mission. Conservation through education. So that is pretty much it, because I can ramble. I can keep going. I can ramble, but I'll take questions now.
Yeah, your people are welcome to type questions in here on the chat, or if you just want to jump in with a question, we can also do that as well.
Cheetah I was just sorry. I'm just reading some of the comments. Cheetah Conservation Fund in Namibia is must visit to learn. Yeah, I've actually connected with them a little bit with the Cheetah Conservation Fund because of how much I love cheetahs. And I did a small little live where the people could donate to the live session and the funding could go to them. I did one with the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. Actually, I did one with them. I did one for them on my own with the help of a girl named Maya Higa. And we raised $1,600 in an hour live stream. So that was really, really cool because all from her followers. That was pretty awesome. That was some impressive stuff.
All right, Jordan, we've got some questions coming in
Okay.
here. What are some of the interesting virtual engagement opportunities that you've seen people doing?
Well, live face-to-face chats, like Skype a keeper or a Zoom a keeper, where the keeper, me, or some of my coworkers, we would take our phone and we would walk. So we would go in with an animal that is, okay with being like with lemurs. We did one with lemurs where we had a conversation, and it was a school group, and the school was asking questions while all the kids were at home on their Zoom screens, and we were talking face to face with me and a lemur. So that was, stuff like that, like just a lot of one-on-one with a keeper. That's, you don't usually get that moment, that time with a keeper, because zookeepers are busy. And the only time you'll actually see a keeper is if they are giving a public talk at a zoo. Because when the people that you see walking around normally at the zoo are most likely volunteers or education staff or something like that. Zookeepers are busy.
So that brings up a good point, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage this full-time keeper job, but also this social media presence with a management company and, everything that goes with it?
Say the honest truth. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm running on fumes. No. But seriously, because it's what, I don't know why, it's just what I'm dedicated to. It's I don't have an answer because I'm always just running. Like I feel as though I will be letting people down if I don't continue to post. And I love the passion for me with animals. I love them so much, and I love talking to people about them. So when I'm at the zoo and at home, it's not like I'm working. It's like I'm pushing because people, I feel like in my head, people need it. Like I got a couple videos. Some mom sent me a video of her kid. I had this segment called Backyard Animal Treasures, where I go explore animals that are nearby, and so it'll get people to go think about, hey, we can look at animals right next to us. We don't have to go to the zoo. And this mom sent me a video of her maybe 3 or 4 year old son dressed exactly like me. He had the khaki shorts, he had a black t-shirt on, he had the wild hat, he had boots on, and he was walking around looking around for animals. And she asked him, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to find frogs like Jungle Jordan. And I was like, oh, okay. So that I've been learning, people are literally watching this and relying on it.
So from one of our founding members, how can informal science institutions better support underrepresented staff members? Nice, easy question for you.
Hold on. Change the subject. You guys like Mickey Mouse. Anyways, okay. So with that one, it's really tough because zoos are very expensive. First off, zoos are very expensive. School is very expensive. Um, the jobs that you have to do, or the stuff that the requirements to become a zookeeper, are internships, volunteer experiences, school, you know, jobs below a zookeeper. But the first thing you need is to get your foot in the door somehow, right? And so to do that, you got to volunteer or intern, be an intern. So with internships, what I would recommend is if there was chances to have to offer paid internships, because people can't commit 40 hours a week to the zoo, which is what interns are, and just survive. How? Like me, I had to. Like I was working 3 jobs. This is actually the year that I crashed my car. I fell asleep at the wheel when I was almost home, and that was actually, it was right next to my birthday, which sucked. I remember that very well. I was working 3 jobs. I was an intern, and I was doing a summer course of school for some reason. Oh, because I wanted to take this class because I was just pushing, and I fell asleep at the wheel. And so people are literally killing themselves just so they can get into this field. It's a very competitive world. So, it's a tough world, and I don't have all the answers for that, but I just think if they offer, you know, easier transitions into the world with, more accessible, like offering a paid internship.
We've got another question kind of about your role as a keeper with zoos closed. And I heard it from friends here in Dallas too, that animals were missing that interaction with the public. What are some of the social things that keepers have done to keep animals
You know
occupied?
what's funny about that? Not pe- not every animal cared. They didn't care about, unfortunately, they didn't care to see the people. Like it's not, it depends on what animal you're talking about, right? Like orangutans, they're extremely intelligent social animals that really enjoy focusing and staring at people and looking at what you're doing, what you're wearing, and all these different things. And so with animals like that, we just do what we do every day anyway. We give them what's called enrichment. So enrichment or something that'll mentally or physically stimulate the animal, just to get them, keep their minds going and keep them thinking. And so we just increase that, because we had more time since we weren't doing talks and different things like that. The zoo was closed. We were clean. We're still doing our day-to-days, but we had more time to be creative, to add even more on top of what we were already giving the animals. Like let's see, macaws, like birds, big, beautiful parrots. Most of them don't care about people, but they are a social animal, so they have themselves. One funny thing we were doing, actually, random, but a lot of zoos were doing it and it went viral on social media. We were walking animals around the zoo to visit other animals, just to like my counterpart over here in Seattle, Woodland Park. They took an armadillo around to see the otters, and the otters were like, "What is that?" Oh, my favorite one. It was a penguin and a seal or a sea lion. I can't remember what species it was. I think it might have been a sea lion. The sea lion's eyes, just looking at the eyes, he's like, "What in the world?" It's like it just cracks me up. I don't know that. Okay, I'm not gonna say that though. That was only for us as zookeepers, because it wasn't. It was new and enriching for the animals. You know, it was very fun. That was fun.
I've got a question in the chat from Greg asking about when you started volunteering. You talked about that you had anger issues, and what was it of working with animals that gave you that peace?
Well, to be honest, I felt like I was misunderstood growing up because I liked animals and because I was different, and I felt the same about animals. Where I grew up, I felt like they were misunderstood and people didn't appreciate them and what they are worth to the world, what they mean. So I felt like a bond with them. I felt like, hey, it's my duty to make sure these animals are known, make sure people know about, like, people care about these animals. It was my duty to spread information about them. And to this day, it's still how I feel. I still, I 100%. Unfortunately, this is how it's gonna be. I feel like, even though I know a lot of people have my back and or have, they're in my corner, even at the zoo now, I still feel different, and that's something I can't really shake. I don't know why. It's just, I guess because I'm the only African American in my zoo. So I don't know what I don't know really what to say. I can't like just snap my fingers and say, "Hey, I'm normal now." I mean, I feel bad. I feel fine. I'm.
Well, I guess the other thing is too, Jordan, that I was really questioning was I noticed that a lot of animals have personality disorders just like we do as humans. And so sometimes you have to respect their space. You have to, I would imagine that some of that kind of gave you that ability to kind of like, okay, okay, okay. And so was that the calming part? What were the respect that you had to give them as far as space, all those different variables may
Mhm.
have had some kind of an effect, maybe, huh?
No, I definitely agree with that, and 100%. There was a lot of variables that tied into me. I like not seeing myself as an animal, but yeah, I felt like we were the same. That's just the best way I can put it. It's just, I mean, you said it better than I could say it. So thank you for saying that. I know I really appreciate that. It's just, yeah, I guess I definitely need to do more, thought process on that. Um, yeah.
So we had a question come in a while back asking about how organizations can kind of capitalize on social media to grow their following. And I know you and I have kind of talked about your different platforms and what those audiences look like. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Of what they can do.
Yep.
Well, like with what I do, I mean, I just first off, I just be myself, and I don't change who I am for social media, if that makes sense. Like, you said to me, you mentioned earlier, I like shoes. I stopped posting them, but that doesn't mean I still, I love shoes. Like, so that's just that's one of my things, right? So I let myself be me, and like with social media, and I'm I just make the videos how I make them. But when we were allowed to do more public engagements, I would specifically make sure I went to areas like where I grew up. So I would really focus on, you know, I focus on everybody, but I try to make sure I am hitting those targeted areas that a lot of zoos aren't going to. A lot of going to schools. So I would really focus on going to, the lesser represented, underrepresented schools, because they need help too. And people will always contact me and like ask me for some guidance and assistance, like with, hey, their son who looks just like me wants to get involved with animals. So I just put a big emphasis on that. With, I like to help out them a lot. I respond a lot to messages. At least I try to. But with social media, it's really tough. So like the only way that I can say that I target them is just by me being me, and hopefully people can see me. That's pretty much. I don't really. It's hard to target. Social media is weird, because you don't want to offend anyone by appropriating anybody's culture, or using certain slang and stuff like that. So it's real tough.
The burning question that no one's asked: do we need to be on TikTok?
uh, okay. From a social media standpoint, yes, 100% yes. It's where all the younger crowd, that's where they are. The younger generation is all on TikTok, and I personally was on it for a while, and I had to focus my time on the other platforms. My TikTok was growing pretty considerably, but I just got burnt out and I was tired. I'm an old person, and TikTok, I don't. So the thing with TikTok is you kind of have to edit your videos on your phone. I don't really like doing that. I like to edit my videos on my computer where I can see a bigger screen. I can type things. I can take my time. When I'm doing videos on TikTok editing, I feel like I'm rushed to post it. I don't know why. I can't really explain it, even though you can save drafts and everything like that. But I just feel you have to make it in that moment. But 100% yes, zoos. Some zoos are thriving on there, like Northwest Trek Wildlife Park is a place up here in Washington. Cincinnati Zoo has a pretty strong posting. But the thing, social media was with Cincinnati Zoo, their posts that they're posting, like their Instagram, Facebook, whatever, they're getting their posts from keepers. A lot of their main videos and photos now from the great facilities that are good at social media are getting the video from their keepers, who have first hand, because most larger zoos have marketing teams, they have photographers, videographers, right, who are professionals at this. But literally all it takes is a zookeeper and this right here. Like, this is what people want to see. There's been transitions in what people want to see from zoos. Whereas like in the 80s, people, didn't want to see what was behind the scenes. They wanted to be more entertained, right? They didn't want to see what was going on. Whereas to now, people actually, that's why all those shows like The Zoo are popular. People want to see what's happening behind the scenes.
So speaking of behind the scenes, as we wrap up these last few minutes, Jordan, I know you do lots of really great live features. You want to share a little bit about your social media schedule if people want to kind of see you interact with other people, other animals. You want to share a little bit about when you're live?
Yeah. So you guys can find me on Jungle Jordan 23 on all aspects of social media, including TikTok. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. YouTube's not very active because I'm in this Facebook program right now for Black creators, so it's a little bit more. I'm more focused on making videos for Instagram and Facebook right now. But I do this thing called Wild Wednesday. I try to do it every Wednesday. where I post that photo of a zoomed in animal. You have to guess what it is, and I go live at Wednesday night. It's it's pretty. It can be late for you guys over there, and at least the ones in Texas. It's 7 p.m. Pacific that I usually go live, or sometimes I go earlier. And I specifically will pick animals I either haven't worked with or don't know about that well, because I like to learn with you guys while I'm talking about the animal. And I will also sometimes bring in experts to like that have worked with the animal, or to join me. So yeah, that's Wild Wednesday.
All right, any final questions? Last chance. All right, well, Jordan, we thank you very much for kicking off our conference today.
Thank you guys. Thank you all for having me, and I'm glad I could give you guys your early morning sillies. Well, early conference sillies, because yeah, that was definitely a nice blooper out there, me going to get that package. Sorry about that again. Sorry. We're only human. Everyone makes mistakes. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing your story with us.
Thank you,
It's
guys.
great.
All right. So I'll leave. Awkwardness. Should I leave?
Thanks. You can stick around or leave either way.
I do gotta go, actually. So
All right.
Bye.